I'm no orator, and I definitely don't consider myself with a break, but I do feel I am passionate. I was passionate about the business I was in. I'm ridiculously passionate about my friends and family, and so very passionate about life, and living the best I can for as long as I physically can. Life's not always easy. At times it can be wonderful, at times it can be terrible, at times it's horrible, at times it's difficult, at times it's easy. In fact, life will be every emotion you have over the course of its life. The question for us is not how to live. It's easy. We eat, we sleep, we live. The question is more a case of how to live positively. Not when times are good, that's easy, but how to be positive in life when life isn't the wonderful that we'd like. For me, to give you context, 10 years ago in my 50th year, I was diagnosed with a rare lymphoma. By rare, it's estimated being contracted by 6 people per million per year. After various rounds of chemotherapy, I was told my best chance of slowing or curing the disease was to have an allogenic stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor. After a worldwide search on the stem cell registry, only 2 matches were found, both from Germany. I was told at the time that the chance of not surviving the transplant was 2 out of 10. If I survived the transplant, the chance of it helping my disease was approximately 50%. And the chance of that being a long-term fix, only about 20%. Through all the emotional ups and downs, and with the incredible support of family and friends, I just knew that I'd be okay. My focus was never on the 80% chance that I wouldn't be, but always on the 20% chance that I would. I don't know if that was a conscious decision or not, but that's how it was. Although I didn't realise it at the time, not surviving was never an option for me. I came out the other side 12 months after recover, and both life and business went on as though there'd never been a hiccup. Then COVID, not contracting it myself, at least at that stage, but the problems it caused for my business, a tourism-based business, when everyone throughout the world was in lockdown. I thought we'd insulated the business by moving our market from Tasmania to all over Australia and New Zealand. But with a worldwide pandemic, that wasn't the case. But by focusing on what skills the business had, we pivoted our market and survived the difficult years. Again, the business was not surviving, was never an option that I considered. And then finally, almost 9 years after contracting lymphoma, in October 22, I woke up with no vision on the right side of my face. By that afternoon, I'd seen the doctor, been sent to ER, had scans, told I had a growth on my brain, and by the next day, I was flown from Launceston to Hobart for emergency neurosurgery. 3 days later, the doctors confirmed I had extensive small cell lung cancer, with possible secondaries on the kidneys and definitely 7 secondaries on the brain. With treatment, survival was expected to be 3 to 12 months, and without treatment could be in the weeks. This cancer is approximately 80 cases per million people per year, and it's almost never existent for a non-smoker, which is what I was. The chance of one person having both of these cancers was about the same odds of winning Powerball. I opted for treatment, and with my wife Lisa, we madly planned, almost panicked, about setting the wheels in motion that we needed to for winding up a life. This involved selling a business, creating new businesses, getting rules in place, everything that you don't think about until you have to. As silly as it sounds, once all this was done, I had an incredible relief and felt that I was ready to die, which is ridiculous because, in all honesty, that meant I was now ready to start living again. At this point, a very good friend of mine, who is a doctor and himself been facing and fighting cancer for 20 years, gave me some great advice even though he doesn't admit that it was. He said, get out of bed, shave, shower and get on with living. I like to paraphrase that by if you're not busy living, then you're busy dying. For the first few months I'd been doing just the opposite, which I suppose is a normal thing. I felt sorry for myself and I got things in place waiting to die. But from that moment on, I consciously committed myself to staying positive and staying alive. I feel that initially I wanted to do this mainly for the people around me, family, friends, who seemed to be suffering my condition worse than me. I started by telling everyone that visited me when they asked how I was. I said, I'm 60 years old, I've been married to the same person for over 30 years, I have 2 beautiful daughters, they're in relationships with 2 wonderful people, I have a grandson, and I believe I've been reasonably successful in business. So what do I have to complain about? Whatever the future brings me, I've had a good life, but I'm not necessarily ready for it to be over. In addition to saying this to anyone who asked me how I was, I'd repeat it as many times a day as I can, not to convince myself as I believed it 100% already, but to remind myself how lucky I am, which is honestly what I believe. This took the stress out of the equation and allowed me to focus on what I needed to help both my physical and mental health. It would have been easy to say, why me, or poor me, or just give up, but I just experienced that feeling when I was first diagnosed with lymphoma and didn't want to be that person again. I looked at the strength of my father, who spent most of his adolescent years trying to escape the Nazis during the Second World War and ended up in concentration camp, only to return with native Hungary after the war to find the communists had taken over the country and all his family assets had been confiscated. Again, how easy would it have been for him just to give up? But he didn't. He made plans, he moved country, he established a successful life and family. He was successful in spite of the circumstance. Giving up may have been a justified emotion, especially after experiences like this, but who would have benefited? What would this negative emotion have achieved? The answer is, of course, nothing. We can learn from the negative, but we only grow from the positive. Since my diagnosis, people have called me brave in maintaining a positive attitude. I feel the reverse is true. If you can maintain a positive attitude, then really you have nothing to fear. The future will be what it is, and if you can't control it, then you should wipe it from your mind, as it will only harm a positive attitude. And honestly, I believe that a positive attitude affects positively any illness or any problem that you can have in life. And even more importantly, whatever lifetime you have left, it makes it happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. What I found is that a single positive thought, be it in my case a good medical result or something inspiring that I just read, can maintain my positive attitude for a day, while a negative thought, a negative result, a negative anything can stay in your mind for days and take a lot of work to get rid of. I have no idea if this is me or just a general fact, but negative thoughts seem so much more powerful, and it's critically to physically and mentally avoid falling into one. My belief is that being positive in thought and attitude and action has helped my diagnosis immeasurably, and definitely helped my state of mind and the state of mind of those around me. That said, I don't expect to live for another 30 years. But whether it's 30 years, 30 hours, 30 days, 30 weeks, life is so much better with a positive frame of mind. I've had many people that have told me they've turned to religion at times like this. For me, I really remain agnostic, or possibly I believe in Spinoza's God, who revealed himself in the harmony of nature and what exists. That's a whole other topic. But oddly enough, I started praying to something I didn't believe or know of, almost immediately after my diagnosis. My short nightly prayer is for family and friends. I don't consider it a prayer to a greater living being or to any force, but to remind myself how lucky I've been, and the focus should not be on yourself in this world, as there is so much misery. Essentially, I consider it a positive affirmation in my mind, and my last thought at night, and that's been helpful to me. I have no desire to leave this world sooner than I have to. So, while I'm here, like everyone else, we have 2 options. Either be busy living, or be busy dying. I know what my choice is.